10
early.
seconds? 10
Yeah,
seconds?
well, it'll start saying live, 05,
Right.
0, all that kind of stuff.
I
So
let it count up to 5 before I start. I'll go up to 10.
okay, well, we're here now. It is the Audible, and we are here for you. You're seeing some behind the scenes stuff. That's right. Little treat on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. It's time to talk fantasy football with the Audible, and of course, talk about the waiver wire pickups here in week 3. It always goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Week 3. So we've got plenty of injury notes to get to. We've got you know what coming up. Yay. And love the videos coming through, by the way. So all that, we got it here for you. But first, Cecil Lammey, Sigmund Bloom, Dr. Jene Bramel from footballguys.com. And Dr. Jene, of course, will kick us off with the injury report on the quarterbacks for week 3. Dr. Jene, take it away. All right, Sigmund, we're going over your upgrades, downgrades, and waiver wire report here at footballguys.com. And if he's still out there, Andy Dalton, 5 to 10%. We're going to start with him at the top. Jimmy Garoppolo, also 5 to 10%. And of course, we heard with the injury report from Dr. Jene, like, you lost some big ones. Maybe some for just a little bit, like Drew Brees, hopefully. Maybe some for the rest of the season, like Ben Roethlisberger. We're going to talk about it. But if he's still out there, my number one quarterback, whenever I'm asked, like, who do I got the waiver wire? And I was just asked this yesterday. And I said, is Andy Dalton there? Well, if he is, you've got him as a 5 to 10% guy.
Yeah, and I get a lot of questions this week. Quarterback, important position on the waiver wire. Get a lot of questions this week. Isn't it funny, Cease, by the way, that the deepest year quarterback ever all of a sudden isn't so deep? And, there's maybe 6 or 8 guys you feel really good about. Dalton isn't necessarily one of those 6 or 8, but the good news is that he's in an offense that's going to remain aggressive. And yes, it was a 66-yarder to John Ross in garbage time that bailed out anyone who played him. But at the same time, they're going to stay aggressive. In a 41-10 game in the late fourth quarter, they were still throwing downfield. So that's good. That's good if you're going to play Andy Dalton. Buffalo's defense is somewhat rough next week. But, obviously Andy Dalton is going to be your priority because of how he's playing. And remember, A.J. Green's going to be coming back, so things should get better. The offensive line should get a little healthier. Cordy Gunn can get out of concussion protocol. So Dalton stands above, head and shoulders above, unless someone like Josh Allen is out there or something like that. Again, we do one size fits all. I'm assuming Allen was drafted or at least picked up after last week.
All right, let's get to the next level, and it's pretty deep. But Jacoby Brissett, Taysom Hill, which is interesting. You got Taysom Hill over Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
because you have Teddy Bridgewater as a 1%er, but in very deep 2 QB super flex leagues. Let's talk about that, Bloom. Daniel Jones, we know it's coming, right? And it'll be here sooner than later,
right?
Gardner Minshew, it's not too big for him. Luke Falk out there. We saw, knows Adam Gase's system, and Dwayne Haskins, that's on its way. Mason Rudolph is here, but you have him as a 1%er, very deep 2 QB super flex leagues. And a lot of people will say, well, why? With Juju, with Vance McDonald, who he latched onto, with James Washington and his college teammate, a lot of people will say, Bloom, why isn't Mason Rudolph higher?
Well, to answer that quickly, it's just because I'm in a dark place with my Steelers fandom right now. See, they were having Paxton Lynch come in. I never want to see Paxton Lynch and Steelers in the same sentence in my life. Already, we're there. And by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, if he was dropped after week 1, is another 5 to 10% guy, as the San Francisco offense really came alive against Cincinnati. That might be more about Cincinnati than the San Francisco offense. Also, we know that Tampa's defense is decent. So, 1%ers. Jacoby Brissett still there as a 1%er, low ceiling, high floor, executing well in the red zone. Facing Atlanta this week, that could be a little better than the Tennessee matchup. Daniel Jones is going to start. It's official. Week 3. He can run the ball. And also when Sterling Shepard is back, maybe this week, that helps. When Golden Tate is back, week 5, that helps. It's not playing him in 1 quarterback leagues and 2 quarterback superflex leagues. You like him. And, considering the lack of backup options, this is already a time cease. It's week 3, and we're already saying, hey, if you're looking across your league and you see a couple of your teams that you're facing later this year that they lost, maybe they drafted Drew Brees and didn't have a backup, maybe they drafted Ben Roethlisberger and didn't have a backup, then it's already time for some rock blocking, cease. Daniel Jones could be that guy that is a savior because of his running ability for fantasy. Gardner Minshew, has been fine. Cease, is it bad when you're envious of the Jacksonville quarterbacks when you're a fan of a team? Is that bad?
Yeah, very much so.
That's pretty bad. So I wish the Steelers had Gardner Minshew right now. He can run. The game's not too big for him, as you said. He's not overwhelmed. So yeah, he's a viable option. Accurate passer. Taysom Hill is the most interesting name in this whole 1%er list to me, because again, assumption of rational coaching. Doesn't it seem like the Saints can win the NFC South? They just need to go like 3-3 when Breeze is out. And Taysom Hill is going to give them a better tactical advantage than Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater held the ball for too long. Bridgewater did not look sharp last week against the Rams. And Hill's going to give them, if he's only in for 6 weeks, there's not that, well, the defenses are going to catch up. Not really. I mean, that's a short enough period. And this team has obviously practiced all these plays with Taysom Hill. They're comfortable with Taysom Hill quarterback. So for fantasy, if Taysom Hill becomes the starter, or even if they go season, I know we don't see this in the NFL very often, doesn't this situation also call out for maybe give Hill a couple of drives a game? We already saw Hill coming in the red zone. So, if Hill's playing tight end or wide receiver or H-back half the time and quarterback half the time, that becomes interesting. So I'm fascinated with the possibilities here. And I do think Sean Payton is on the more aggressive side of NFL coaches. Some of these are just 2 quarterback super flex leagues as they grow. I want to make sure to tell people, Luke Falk might start next week. We'll see about Trevor Siemian's ankle. Teddy Bridgewater should get most of the snaps at quarterback next week. I'm not sure what that's worth. Against Seattle, Dwayne Haskins is coming sooner or later. Mason Rudolph. And I think you're right, Cease. I should be balancing this out with they have a good offensive line. Rudolph looked comfortable and patient mentally in the pocket, at least. They have Juju. They have some weapons around him. And thankfully, I think Dante Moncrief will not be one of them or won't be on the field much. So there's some potential. And now, Cease, what do you think about doubling down and saying, we're not only is the season not lost, we're trading our first round pick? So some more pressure on Mason Rudolph. Can you tell the Steelers stuff has me a little jumpy this morning? I don't want to make you jumpy.
Yeah, I haven't got enough my Death Wish coffee yet, my Football Guys coffee mug, to be jumpy, but that's coming. Here's what's interesting. I want to leave this. I know it's a waiver wire show, Bloom, but this is very interesting to me. Air raid quarterbacks. Luke Falk.
Yep.
Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
Like everybody else. Like, look at how much pro football has changed, like, quietly. Like, you could bring in an air raid guy now. Luke Falk was just signed from the practice squad, just activated, and then goes into the game because Trevor Siemian is a China doll. Nice China doll. He's always been nice to me. I'm not making fun of him and hope he's okay. But, like, seriously, look how much football has changed where you can bring in air raid guys and they're, like, fitting right in.
Well, and see, I was thinking about this, and this is a Thursday night topic real quick, and then we'll turn the page on quarterbacks. Maybe one of the good things about air raid is just the number of reps, the number of live reps you get.
That's what I was thinking about Gardner Minshew. He threw the hell out of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's live football. I mean, it's football with the adrenaline flowing, and guys are coming for your head, and you're making all kinds of throws and reacting. You talk about Matt Caraccio, sorry if I'm butchering your last name, Matt, and Paul Perticchese, who do that great work on Saturday to Sunday. And Matt talks about football in terms of problem solving. And Gardner Minshew and Luke Falk and the air raid quarterbacks have tried to solve a lot of different kinds of problems, right? I mean, football's kind of the puzzle is always morphing. Sometimes you're making throws with guys bearing down on you. Sometimes you're having to adjust to different vectors with the wide receivers breaking back to the ball or trying to slot your arm in a way to keep the ball from getting batted down. Or just there's all kinds of different creative problem solving opportunities when you're throwing the ball like 700 times. So. Right.
And I will say this, knowing what I know about the air raid, and it's not as much, but just having studied it and having seen it at the high school level and talking to college coaches, it is problem solving, but it's really simple and it's really quick. If you see this, throw it here. If you see that, throw it here. And that's why these guys can come in and they are problem solving at different points of the field. But it's as simple as if this is that, then do this. Yep. And if that is that, then do that. Like that offense sets you up to do that. So it's not like they're out there wizard mastery, full field reads. They're like this, there, that, there, that, there. So anyway, Thursday night topic, but I just thought it was very, very interesting. Always interesting talking to Dr. Jene Bramel about the injured running backs here in week 3. Dr. Jene, you're up. Okay, Bloom, going over your waiver wire report, and we've got to see Devin Singletary there, 25 to 50%. We're watching that hamstring injury with him, but that's what we're watching. I'm going to throw in Raheem Mostert and Rashad Penny, 15 to 30%ers as well. But Singletary's at the top of your list. Then comes in Mostert, and we see that even in that three-headed backfield, he's going to have a role, pretty nice role. And then Rashad Penny there at 15 to 30%.
Yeah, and there was a lot of just going through this week's waiver wire at running backs. We're going to step through this, and those of you that listen to the waiver wire show know how we try to tease these guys out, because the waiver wire report, lumping a bunch of guys together in one tier, might not make it clear that depending on your needs, some might stand out more than others. And I think Devin Singletary is head and shoulders above the rest here because he's got a chance to take over this backfield. Buffalo looks like they're going to be a winning team. He's been explosive. I think he's among the NFL's top rushers, and he doesn't even qualify to be on the list yet because he's only ran the ball like 9 times, you know?
9 times.
So this is the one true potential difference maker for the whole season left out there right now, running back, if he was not picked up after week 1. Then you have Raheem Mostert. Mostert's not necessarily going to rise above while Matt Breida is healthy, while Jeff Wilson is out there, we'll talk about in a little bit, vaulting his goal line carries, and Tevin Coleman will be back. But, again, if we were to say, project the 49ers backfield 8 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now, who's most likely to be healthy? It's probably Mostert. It's certainly not Matt Breida. And Mostert looks good. Watch him, folks. He looks good. He looks good every time he gets to play. So he won't necessarily take over this backfield, but there are paths for his value to grow. And we know he's at least a flex play, certainly against our Pittsburgh Steelers this week. And then you have Rashad Penny. And Penny had the long touchdown run against the Steelers. I still don't love his approach to running the ball, but it sometimes can result in those kinds of plays. And Chris Carson's fumbling. Pete Carroll's Mr. Sunshine, but if Chris Carson keeps fumbling away opportunities for this team, I know they're 2-0, so they've escaped without losing because of one of his fumbles. But how long do they tolerate that? So Chris Carson's forcing an issue there. That's what makes Rashad Penny he's still basically an injury handcuff. Maybe he's an injury and fumbleitis handcuff.
Yeah, you got to watch that, or else you're not going to be able to sing Kumbaya around the campfire with Pete Carroll anymore.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
There's a beautiful program down here, cultural program for children called Congo Kids, and we were learning freedom songs. And the very first thing we did is we learned Kumbaya, and it means come down here. Kumbaya means come down here. So it's like fantasy gods. We just sing Kumbaya to the fantasy gods. Come down here to my team, fantasy gods.
I just like making fun of Pete Carroll and the acoustic guitar. He's like a cult leader sitting around the campfire. Come on. It's okay. Actually, that was Rick Neuheisel that did that. He literally did that with CU when he was the coach here.
Wow.
Like instead of doing, and football's little, it's not for the well-adjusted. We'll say that.
Yeah, right.
And it's very anti-football to be like, come on, guys, get in touch with your feelings. Like Rick Neuheisel tried to make the Buffs. Anyway, let's move on from that. Speaking of Colorado, how about the Denver Broncos, Royce Freeman? Yes, what a segue. 10 to 20%, along with Alexander Madison. Been talking about him a lot and the way Dalvin Cook's running. Alexander Madison looks very similar when he's on the field. Very excited about what he can do. Darwin Thompson, with your injuries in that Chiefs backfield, right. Darwin Thompson goes from, I was super excited in August 15th, and then, oh, man, they got LaShawn McCoy. Now I'm super excited again. Hopefully you didn't drop him, and if you did, maybe you can pick him back up. He's a 10 to 20%er as well. Let's throw in a couple 7 to 15%ers, Peyton Barbour and Carlos Hyde.
So we got Royce Freeman. The upside's not there unless Philip Lindsay goes down, and he is 180 pounds. But Freeman's at least showing us he's good. I mean, he's a good running back now. He looks better than he did last year, and he's at least a flex play. We'll see how they do against Green Bay, which looks like a tough defense. But that Royce Freeman's going to be quality depth for you through the waiver wire gauntlet. Alexander Madison requires patience, but the running game for Minnesota is on track. They're committed to it, and as he said, if you watch Madison and Cook, Madison doesn't look like there's that much of a drop-off, which is really saying something, considering what Cook is doing. If Cook goes down, which he has each of the last 2 years, Madison is a jackpot hold. So he's one of the most essential handcuffs, as is Darwin Thompson. And some of it's the quality of the Kansas City backfield. But yeah, McCoy may play. He has a shot to play with his ankle. It sounds like Damian Williams' injury is minor, but that's just after week 2. So how's Darwin Thompson going to have value? How's he going to realize value? Injuries. And then if the injuries give him touches, he can assert himself through his burst, through his contact balance, and maybe carve out a role in this backfield. So Darwin Thompson goes from, well, if you have to drop him after week 1, 2 of the guys are hurt in his backfield, pick him back up after week 2. 7-15%ers. Peyton, Barbour, and Carlos Hyde. In the vein of Royce Freeman, not as talented as Royce Freeman, in the vein of Royce Freeman, if you have to plug them in a week where you're thin at running back, then now you're looking at 10 to 15 points possibly. Carlos Hyde is running really well, career near-death experience. And I think that Houston, you're seeing it already. Houston saying, we got to save Deshaun Watson for December, January. This division's wide open. We just traded 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. Run the ball more. So they eke out that win. They didn't deserve it. They should have called Mark Gardner Minshew's number on the 2-point conversion. Instead, they called Fournette's number. Likewise with Peyton Barbour. And it's the same story, right? Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston, Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. Nah, defense, Todd Bowles, call a good game. Don't turn the ball over, Jameis Winston. Make safe throws. Byron Leftwich doing a good job. Just, hey, we're going to keep it safe. It's training wheels, slow in the driveway, and they can win. They beat Carolina. Now, some of that was Cam Newton not looking good, but Peyton Barbour fits in that kind of game plan. He's going to give max effort. He's not necessarily going to add value to his touches, but he's going to give max effort. He fits in that blueprint for how you win games. This week against the Giants, he's actually solid running back 2 play.
Let's go on and look at the 5 to 10%ers. There is Chase Edmunds, of course, with the David Johnson situation. Adrian Peterson, we've seen. Ito Smith, still want Brian Hill. Maybe that's like a 6-pence half percenter later on, Bloom. But anyway, you've got Chase Edmunds, Adrian Peterson, Ito Smith, and Jamal Williams, 5 to 10%ers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of names to go through here. And again, you have different approaches depending on maybe who you have on your roster, what you're looking at, right? Let's start with Chase Edmunds. David Johnson hurt his wrist. It's the same wrist that cost him the season 2 years ago. Now, he returned to the game, just still underwhelming. But if you watched him, he was running off, holding that wrist, holding that arm, just kind of hanging limp. So maybe he's fine now. But what if that is a re-injury? I mean, it's running back position. See, about Phillip Lindsay's wrist injury last year. I mean, it can be brutal. And yes, defenses should take note. Hey, his wrist might be a problem. Let's go after the wrist. Get a helmet on it. Chase Edmunds, and then you have the Arizona offense, and you have what this offense is going to start to do. If you just look from week 1 to week 2, how much it improved against a tougher defense in Baltimore. So you like Chase Edmunds as someone to hold to potentially realize some value. Adrian Peterson, on the other hand, is going to give you a starter. Now that Darius Geis is on IR, 7 to 10 point expectation behind Washington's offensive line and then that offense. But still, he's somebody that's going to hold the line for you. He probably is going to outscore Chase Edmunds. Ito Smith is a little bit of both. He's getting touches and doing all right with what he's getting. Still not a high ceiling. But if Devontae Freeman continues to stay stuck in neutral, maybe Ito Smith forces closer to 50-50 committee, if not overtakes him. Jamal Williams is not going to overtake Aaron Jones, but he looks all right. As a runner, he looks all right. As in the passing game, he looks pretty good. And he had a touchdown against Minnesota. Aaron Jones is known to miss some time. So Jamal Williams now becomes a solid handcuff to hold. We thought, hey, Dexter Williams, is he going to be breathing down Jamal Williams' neck to get carries behind Aaron Jones? No, he's not even active on game days. So that certainly enhances the value of Williams.
Well, then more running backs to get to.
Yeah.
You said there's a lot, and there is. Rex Burkhead, Frank Gore, Justin Jackson, who've been having the chat room, ask for that. Jalen Samuels, as looks like James Conner's dodged anything major. Jeff Wilson, again, 3-headed backfield, but they've got a value. And then Darrell Williams. Let's throw him in as a 1%er.
And by the way, one other note from running backs holding steady, not running backs moving up. You can't say Malcolm Brown's value went up after week 2. Actually, Todd Gurley got a goal line carry or 2 and converted one of them. But Malcolm Brown's in that Alexander Madison, Darwin Thompson tier where maybe and you might be able to play Brown over them in a desperation play mode. But hey, they're managing Todd Gurley's workload. I still think you have to hold Malcolm Brown. They're not getting Darrell Henderson any work. Speaking of shut them down. So we have 3 to 5%. Again, a lot of flavors here. Rex Burkhead any given week might give you 10 or 12 points. If an injury strikes, well, Damian Harris could come on, or Burkhead could get more work. He looks good. Frank Gore with the Devin Singletary hamstring day-to-day issue. If Frank Gore's the starter against Cincinnati this week, he's a running back too, a la Peyton Barbour in that good matchup against Daniel Jones and the Giants. Eventually, this is going to be Singletary's backfield, so Gore at some point goes back to being a low-end desperation play. Justin Jackson had a 60-yard touchdown called back. Also had a 40-yard run. Also, we don't know how Austin Eckler's going to hold up under this kind of workload. Hold on to him. Not as essential as, say, Madison or Edmunds at this point, but don't just bail on him. Jalen Samuels, on one hand, the Steelers' offense. But hey, maybe the Steelers' offense could be better, Cease. Maybe they're actually going to have a game plan. Maybe Ben Roethlisberger is going to be grabbing the mic from everybody, and actually they're going to have a real offense with play-action passing and lots of things where the coach can actually help the team win. Maybe more two-back backfields with Jalen Samuels. On the other hand, James Conner does have a knee issue. He's confident he's going to play. But again, once that injury seal's broken, you pay closer attention to those backup running backs. Injury seal broken again in San Francisco. So Jeff Wilson getting those touchdowns. And again, maybe he's the last guy standing, just like he was last year. Darren Sproles is interesting to me, if only because of all these injuries in the passing game. And it would make sense to me if these guys keep dropping out of the Philly passing game. Darren Sproles could get back up to 5, 6, 7 catches a game. He's certainly viable in the passing game in a lot of different roles there. And Darrell Williams, it's a Kansas City back. 2 of them are hurt. Any competent running back in Kansas City is going to put up points. I think Darrell Williams is competent, even though he went to LSU.
Yeah, exactly. Get LSU receivers. Just
get us the LSU quarterback. Let's get no. We want the LSU quarterback to end up with. We'll still have a first-round pick now, though. So
yeah. Here we go. Yay! It's a Steelers show. Bloom, we could do a whole. I don't even know how long on that offense because I actually think it might be better because it's more cohesive. And back to our conversation about the air raid system, like you're making decisions. That's the thing, and quarterback play, like you're making simple decisions, but you're making them. You're not just like, well, then drop back and look here, and if he goes over here, then no, it's like I see this, so that means that. Anyway. Yeah. Super quick, Bloom.
Yeah.
And this actually has to do with the waiver wire.
Sure.
I'm all over the place today.
No, it's good.
But I did mention, guys that I really like. But 0.5% speed dial guys, whatever you want to say.
Sure.
Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
And I think that's killer for CJ, by the way. But Ty Johnson, Mike Boone, Brian Hill, any sort of thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, I think that, well, look, we have to look at Ty Johnson as having more to offer than CJ Anderson, although we love CJ Anderson. So in the event of a Kerryon Johnson injury, now we're very interested in Ty Johnson. Mike Boone, I think, is as good as Madison. He's looked fantastic in the preseason. So if Cook were to go down, this could be one of those situations where everyone rushes to get Madison, and it's Boone who does a la Dalvin Cook, like the 75-yard touchdown on one of his 6 touches, and then it flips the next week. Brian Hill is extremely interesting. And with Brian Hill, the issue here is you saw it, Miami Cowboys, baby. I saw it last year at the end of the year. He's improving. He's not the same running back he was at Wyoming. He made the team, even though he and Quadri Olson are healthy scratches. Again, if Devontae Freeman goes down, sure, it's going to be Ito Smith up first. But just like last year, the team might see, Brian Hill is actually more productive, especially on those early downs, especially between the tackles. So these are players that we're just waiting for one domino. A Dalvin Cook injury, a Devontae Freeman injury, and then rookie. And this is also, of course, all those rookies. We'll get to this in the shut them down segment, or do we shut them down? So there's fantasy football, right? A lot of these moves we're making now that seem like afterthoughts, like 3 or 4 weeks from now, we may wish we had not made them, or we may wish we had. So really it's just knowing, like, when you see something automatically in your mind saying, there goes Dalvin Cook. Everyone's going to go for Alexander Madison for 50% of their budget. I'm going to go for Mike Cook for 1% and see what happens.
I wouldn't be surprised if one day Raquel Armstead's the hottest name we're talking about. Yeah. Like something like that. So anyway, or it could be like, I can't believe Leonard Fournette played 16 games.
Right. Bo Scarborough got picked up by Seattle after Penny and Carson went down.
Yeah. All right. Fantasy football keeps changing. Guys keep getting banged up. And of course, that's why we keep talking to Doctor. We talk to Dr. Gene anyway, because he's like the greatest guy ever, literally the greatest guy ever. I often wonder why Dr. Gene hangs out with us, Bloom. But anyway, let's talk to Dr. Gene about those wide receiver injuries in week 3. Upgrades, downgrades, waiver wire report available at footballguys.com. Bloom, you're wide netting it because at the top is Hollywood Brown, 25 to 50%. You're wide netting it. So just everyone hold on. We're going to get to the guys that would be available, but just in case, I'm just saying, there's a lot of shallow leagues out there. Every time I get a shallow league question, I'm like, do you have any fun? Fantasy football is fun, right? Anyway, Hollywood Brown, let's talk about him first.
Not a 50+ percenter yet, just because Baltimore's been playing these terrible defenses, and we have to see, and they're playing Kansas City this week, so we might not get a lot more information. He's a clear far and away number one. Snap count's going up, target count's there, speed is there. So Marquise Brown, you've got him in a dynasty league, you're doing a dance right now, and if you got him after week 1 or drafted him smart enough to do that, you're loving it. If he's still out there after week 2, you're not spending all your money, but you're spending a lot.
All right, next up in the wide receiver section, Demarcus Robinson. And this is a connection that Pat Mahomes has had for a long time, being one of his favorite guys when he was just on to come up. But Demarcus Robinson leads it off 20 to 40%.
Yeah, and see, you can weigh in on this too, okay? Because I think you have to put Demarcus Robinson ahead of Michael Hardman. And I have Hardman.
Oh, no doubt. And it's that connection. It's that chemistry. Yeah. It's the fact that he's got experience. Like Michael Hardman has that speed and talent. Certainly we know that. Right. He doesn't have the experience that Robinson has and doesn't have that years of connection with Mahomes.
Right. So Robinson stands out there. And look, anytime somebody does a 6 for 172 and 2 touchdowns, like just you plug him back in the next week against Baltimore and see what happens. And he looks like the number one here. And then you have a lot of interesting questions after that in the 15 to 30% guys. See, so I'm as curious to what you would say, because some of these guys may still be out there. And some of these players, even another thing, hopefully we can get out of this waiver wire show, if they've already been picked up though, is taking the temperature on some of these guys, because you can still buy low on some of these waiver wire pickups early season, because people want to see more. They don't trust it, or they think they're selling high when really, this is John Ross is going to take off, or et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk about the 15 to 30% guys.
Well, and here's the thing, Bloom, on that. And man, I'm super chatty today, but the point is, it's about the window. That's why people are like, I'm going to see more. You missed the window. Yeah. John Ross may only be worth a damn for 4 weeks. Get him while you can so you can start him in that window. Hell, Demarcus Robinson. Fantasy football's not forever. I want everybody. This ain't love. This ain't true love, baby. Fantasy football is not forever. You're trying to capture windows. And if your team has a variation of like 4 or 5 different starting lineups by the time you get to the fantasy playoffs, fine. You got to the fantasy playoffs because you're not like, I got to wait and see. No, jump, start, win, move on. It's not forever. Don't think I love my team. That's fine. Rotate them. Don't ask how the sausage is made. Bloom, let's move on to that next group. And that does include McCole Hardman, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, and yes, there's John Ross, all 15 to 30%ers.
Yeah, and I'm kind of punting here by putting them all together, but I'll say this. Hardman, the limitation on him is that Tyreek Hill is going to return, or he would be 20 to 40% up there with Demarcus Robinson. And if Demarcus Robinson would be 25 to 50, and maybe they both be 50% plus. If Tyreek Hill had some setback and was going to miss the season, these guys are both 50% plus. Like empty your wallet on them. So Hardman in the short term too. Do you need someone right now? Are you wide receivers thin, or you don't have a good flex play, or are you thinking later impact down the line? So McCole Hardman fits there. Terry McLaurin, we'll continue to doubt him. He'll continue to get a ton of targets. Had another long bomb that Case Keenum missed. Maybe we didn't see him in this vein before the draft, after the draft, before the season. See him in this vein now. Maybe I'm continuing to underestimate him. DK Metcalf, not running a lot of variety on the route tree, but it don't matter if you're big and you're fast and competitive and you have a quarterback who puts it up there for you. He has all those things going up against New Orleans this week. And Tyler Lockett's going to continue to be the focus of pass defenses. So DK Metcalf is going to benefit from that. John Ross, again, it was garbage time. Okay. So it still counts. And it's a good sign that even when the team is down 31 points, they're still throwing and giving John Ross chances to show that he has that Tyreek Hill kind of speed. Again, even after AJ Green comes back, his role is intact. So, these are guys that McLaurin, Ross, Metcalf, I say, well, the drop-off's coming. Maybe not. Maybe this is what we're going to get all year. Maybe these are conservative numbers if they're still out there on your waiver wire.
Well, again, how about when the drop-off's not coming?
Yeah.
How about now? Again, it's not forever. Windows. Everyone change your mindset. Think of windows and capturing those, like Nelson Aguilar or DJ Chark. Speaking of window with Gardner Minshew, hell, that looks really nice. Get LSU a quarterback. James Washington, 5 to 10%. Let's talk about these three.
And see, can I barge in? Can you give me the breaking news? Cam Newton aggravated his foot on Thursday night. Remember when Cam Newton, what's up with him, was the biggest story of week 2 at quarterback? So Will Grier added to that 1%.
And what did Will Grier do in college?
Air raid. Yeah, facing an air raid.
If he performs like Gardner, and now he may go out there and look like trash,
right.
And I'll make sure not to cuss, or else YouTube will demonetize our video. Oh my God, really? Anyway, if he goes out and looks like Gardner Minshew, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and I mean, in your two,
and I liked him more than Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and you're looking at a deep DFS play. You're looking at someone that could revive some value for. I mean, if Will Grier is throwing the ball to Curtis Samuel on Thursday night, maybe Samuel would have had a pretty big game. I don't know. It hurts Greg Olsen a little bit. More talk on that this week, but 5 to 10% wide receivers. There's a lot of thoughts here. So you have Nelson Aguilar. If he doesn't drop the game-winning touchdown, maybe he's a 10 to 20 or 15 to 30% guy. Also, Nelson Aguilar should start this week against Detroit. So you have him as a wide receiver 3 flex. How long are these Jeffrey, Goddard, and Deshaun Jackson injuries going to carry on? Maybe they're a week or two thing. Maybe they get aggravated. Maybe Aguilar has some lasting value. Maybe I'm underestimating him here. DJ Chark, I underestimated last year. Didn't look like he was ready this year. Has that chemistry with Minshew. Minshew will take those shots downfield. Chark, a great catch in the end zone. James Washington at 5 to 10%. Reunited and it feels so good. Peaches and herb, I think. And it's understood. There's one special thing. It's Mason Rudolph throwing the deep ball to James Washington. And it feels good when James Washington goes up and gets it, especially if you get him on the waiver wire. That was like the longest I've ever sung on the show. But that's a song from my childhood, man. That's like a backseat song that you heard as a kid. So if you're old like us. So yeah.
When we're standing up in the backseat.
Yes.
Y'all kids, right? That's what's wrong with today's society. We're strapping kids in kid seats, right?
Yeah.
Give everybody a pacifier. Am I right, fellas? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you have to be excited about James Washington. Dante Moncrief to the bench. Washington reunited with his college quarterback, one who knows exactly that hot zone for him to go up and get those balls.
Hot zone indeed. As we continue on with the wide receivers, Randall Cobb, Marquise Goodwin, Deebo Samuel, and Devin Smith. Again, windows. Yeah. Devin Smith hurt all the time. But when he's not hurt, if I can pick up Devin Smith cheap, let's say I miss out on John Ross, right?
Right.
I already scooped up John Ross. But let's say if I missed out on him, right? Throw in Devin Smith. If he has another big game, fine. And if he gets hurt again, fine. The price is so cheap.
So these 3 to 5%ers are spot starts, right? With the Michael Gallup out 2 to 4 weeks, Dallas playing Miami, Randall Cobb, Devin Smith. Devin Smith, before Gallup went out, got that touchdown, I think. So we know he's got the deep ball game. He's the best vertical threat on that team. So maybe this role persists. Maybe I'm underestimating what he can be after Gallup comes back. Marquise Goodwin has the deep ball. San Francisco's offense getting on track. Deebo Samuel, one of the best rookie performances of week 2. Now, will Dante Pettis come on? That's the question, right? When Trent Taylor comes back, when Jalen Hurd comes back, does this wide receiver group split out all the production, split it up, so that there's not a reliable play week to week? Maybe you just say, play a San Francisco receiver. If they're having trouble in the slot, you play, say, whoever the slot receiver is. If they're having trouble in the deep ball, you play Goodwin. Maybe. But maybe it stays clarified. Maybe it stays Goodwin and Samuel going forward. That's why they're relatively low on this list, although they're facing the Steelers secondary with Minkah Fitzpatrick. Is that a good thing? I think it's a good thing. I don't know. Ask me in a few months.
Now with more Minkah Fitzpatrick, but that first round pick, it's going to be pretty high. Okay. Let's finish up these wide receivers. Geronimo Allison, JJ Arthega, Whiteside. I think I got that right. Damiere Byrd, Chris Conley, and Mac Hollins there, Bloom.
So you've got hey, Drummond Allison, touchdown, slot receiver. And I think that Green Bay's offense is going to come on. I mean, facing Chicago and Minnesota open the season. You have the Philly receivers. I think Whiteside looked a little overwhelmed. I mean, he didn't look like he was ready to play a big role. Now, maybe catch your breath. It looks like he's going to play against Detroit. That could be better. Mac
He
Hollins.
looked like DJ Chark last year. That's what he looked like.
Yeah. And so maybe, fast forward a year, but still see what happens. Stranger things have happened. And certainly he would have that red zone role, the jump ball role, like, Alshon Jeffrey could do if Jeffrey is out this week. Mac Hollins, a little more experienced. Remember him as one of Mitchell Trubisky's favorite targets, right? So another deep guy. And we'll see, that this Philly offense is going to be aggressive. Damiere Byrd looks like he's the clear number 3 for Arizona as this offense gets going. He has some deep speed too. Maybe Damiere Byrd will come on. I feel like everybody's totally overlooking him. What does a guy have to do when he's getting like 8-10 targets a week in an offense that's going to remain aggressive all year to get some respect in the fantasy world? Chris Conley getting some respect. Again, we look at Gardner Minshew's chemistry, and it's better with Chark and Conley than it is with D.D. Westbrook. And yes, as this is a big topic around fantasy league, Cease, Gardner Minshew, Jacksonville's offense has a pulse. So we'll see. There's a lot of offenses we're going to be checking for a pulse this week, but Chris Conley, part of that pulse.
Yeah, nice thing about Carolina, Bloom, because we don't know if it would be Will Grier or not. Kyle Allen, Houston. And he's hurt all the time, but, again, fill there with footballs. You're going to be throwing a lot. Peyton Manning says 10,000 reps makes you an expert. So there we go. Let's talk to Dr. Jene Bramel one more time in the show, of course, about the injured tight ends in week 3. Dr. Jene, take it away. Tight end is always so brutal. It just is. And again, wide net. We've talked about this guy so much. When he came out, the Hayden Hurst, fine, nice guy, great hair. But Mandrew was always the guy. Watch Oklahoma. He was the guy. He was the man for Baker, the baby maker. So again, Bloom, wide netting it. But if Mandrew's there, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, and the only reason it's not 50+%, the only reason it's not empty your wallet is because of the defenses they faced. And again, it's Kansas City this week, so he might keep that up. He's the man. And we saw it was Andrews and TJ Hawkinson week 1, and one of them lasted. Now, granted, Hawkinson's week 1 matchup was against Arizona that Andrews just took advantage of. So we'll see. But Andrews looks fantastic. We knew that that Lamar Jackson was most comfortable, most accurate, most efficient throwing to Andrews in the middle of the field, even with Marquise Brown, which actually only helps open up room for Mark Andrews. It's going to continue to be a very, very good thing.
Very good thing with Vance McDonald, 15 to 30% with him and Mason Rudolph. That connection should continue.
Yeah, and we saw him working that short area of the field. We saw the red zone looks. So this is all good, and we're looking for that early chemistry, and it's there. And, in big bright lights. Rudolph feels good targeting Vance McDonald. So this could be one of those cases where McDonald's actually worth more after this quarterback change.
And let's just lump in everybody else, Bloom, but it's different varying levels. Jason Witten, 5 to 10%. Tyler Eifert, 3 to 5%. Again, Windows, people. I don't care. He's hurt all the time. Can I get him now? And can he do something for me? Because my tight ends suck. Tyler Eifert, 3 to 5%. Vernon Davis, 1%. Will Dissly, 1%. Eric Ebron, 1%. Yep. Gerald Everett, 1%.
So, and hey, these are all names of some of people are going to be looking at starting. The desolation at tight end. Jason Witten got 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. No Michael Gallup could overflow target or 2 to him, and we know he's getting those targets in the red zone. Tyler Eifert, a touchdown. Tyler Eifert's been relevant each of the first 2 weeks. Cincinnati's pass offense. It looks like he separated himself a little bit from CJ Uzoma in terms of targets. Vernon Davis, we'll see if Jordan Reed's cleared this week. If not, Vernon Davis remains a desperation play. Will Dissly. Who's the tight end facing the Steelers this week? George Kittle. Oh man, get George Kittle into your lineups, your DFS lineups. Will Dissly, a couple times a year, Will Dissly is going to pop up on the waiver wire show after a big game. This year, it was week 3. Eric Ebron got a touchdown, and I think he dropped a touchdown in week 1. So you have the floor of 0, which again, 2, 3, 4 teams have a 0 floor at tight end. And Ebron could get a touchdown against Atlanta. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, you're right. See, I got to get that in my vocabulary down here in New Orleans. Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee, and this is a picture of the current NFL. Tyler Higbee coughing up blood. Tyler Higbee won't miss much time. So, in the meantime, though, Gerald Everett is a receiving tight end, a player whose arrow could be pointing up an increased opportunity against those Cleveland Browns this week.
Gerald Everett is nice, Bloom.
Yeah.
Like he's literally nice, but he's no Joe Everett.
No. Joe Everett knows that Death Wish coffee is the truth too, by the way.
Yeah, because it is. It really is. And I love drinking coffee, but make Death Wish coffee mine. What happened to Cecil? Oh, heart attack.
Yeah. Death Wish coffee. That's why they call it Death Wish. It was advertised right there on it. Yeah. We're not getting anything from Death Wish, but if you want to send us some coffee.
Yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. Well, Bloom, you know what's totally fine. And I want in our community. And our community is awesome. And our community is growing thanks to you guys. You're smashing that like button. You're sharing the videos. You're commenting. Chat room is great. Also need you to comment as well. That really helps grow the channel. I've seen it in our view numbers. I've seen our subscription numbers. I've even seen it bloom because now we've got, because, you know, you always say never read the YouTube comments. But now we got YouTube commenters that like, call me a clown. So I'm like, I'm fine. I got broad shoulders. My God, you think I haven't been called everything under the sun?
Yeah.
Mainly by Broncos fans or Chiefs fans, really. But still, like, okay, here we go. Here's the interaction in our community. Use the hashtag. Shut them down. You know what we're going to do. Because the videos that we've been getting, the tweets, I want to know where you're at when you do this. I want to know what people react. I want you in line at Starbucks. You know, and then listening
especially
to
if you're in line at Starbucks
in your AirPods, right? You're sitting there listening to it. I want you at work. I want you in your cubicle. I want you sitting at a stoplight with the windows down, top down on your Jeep, like whatever. I want to know where you were at when you did this and you joined in with all of us, chat room included, reacting to me as we say, cue the Chuck D. Blue, some of your week 3 shut them downs.
Woo, it's rough out there. You know, Cam Newton was saying he was going to be in the hold on segment, but now, I mean, push comes to shove in your short bench leagues, he's gone. You're obviously dropping Roethlisberger. I think you don't wait around for Drew Brees at this point. Derek Carr had his one good matchup, didn't come up very strong for our fantasy lamps. Probably dropping him. Mitchell Trubisky, I'm not waiting around for that. Marcus Mariota, you know, low ceiling every week. Even Kirk Cousins, low ceiling every week. Ronald Jones, Peyton Barbour just fits with this. Wants to do better. Same thing with Dare Ogunbowale. Latavius Murray. Sure, the Saints are going to run the ball more, and you know, there's not going to be as many touchdown drives to finish. Gus Edwards, I think. You know, there's some names going to be missing from here you might be expecting. If you're going to hold Ravens back, it's not Gus Edwards. Tevin Coleman. I mean, he just comes back to a role in this backfield that's not enough to sustain value. If I'm looking at some, I'd rather have Raheem Mostert than Tevin Coleman right now. Let's put it that way. Giovanni Bernard, the running game's just not getting going here. Joe Mixon is okay. Miles Boykin in a deeper league, I might hold just because of how good the Ravens passing game looks, but it's obviously Brown well ahead of Boykin. Kiki cutie. Oh, man. I mean, and I'm holding on to Duke Johnson because there's a couple of routes for him to get value, but Kiki, there's only one, and it looks pretty blocked right now. And the team is just the passing game isn't looking that great. D. Westbrook in a tight spot, I would go ahead and drop. Corey Davis in a tight spot, I would drop. Watch him have 7 for 150 and a touchdown on Thursday night. But look, especially if Jalen Ramsey gets dealt, but it's just going to be so inconsistent. Same thing with AJ Brown, so inconsistent. Dante Pettis, I understand waiting around for him. So Dante Pettis, Justice Hill, Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris. These guys almost get their own segment seats, right? Because you hold on to them, but you don't feel good. And then as soon as you drop them, you don't feel good, right? It's kind of like, should I stay or should I go? Or something like that, you know, where it's, I mean, the reason we draft guys like Justice Hill, Darrell Henderson, Damian Harris is if, I call it like the powder in the match. You know, if Damian Harris gets 15 touches in the New England backfield, if Henderson gets 15, if Justice Hill gets 15, in these offenses, they're going to have value. And these rookies, as the season goes on, because of injury, because of the fresh legs, can get more work. So I'm still loath to drop them. Likewise with Dante Pettis, because we know how good he can be in this offense with Jimmy Garoppolo when he's healthy, when his head is right, when he gets the opportunity. When will that come? So try not to drop these players. You know, even someone like a Raheem Mostert, if it's a Raheem Mostert or Darrell Henderson, but it's my 6th running back and I feel okay about my top 5, I might keep that higher end range of outcomes for Henderson. So not the rookie running backs are hold-ons, but I may go wish that I said drop them. And in tight end, there's a long list here. We're just going to churn through these guys week after week, Cease, right? CJ Uzoma, pick him up for $1, drop him the next week. Blake Jarwin, pick him up for $1, drop him the next week. Tyler Higbee with that injury, probably just drop him. Dallas Goedert hurt, drop him. Jack Doyle, drop him. I mean, it's the Colts pass offense. Kyle Rudolph, it's the Minnesota pass offense, drop him. Jordan Reed, is it uncouth to root for him to retire?
No, because it's about personal safety, right? I mean, seriously, if you've had 7 known concussions, how many have you had that we don't know about?
Yeah,
that you hid. Like, I don't want to sound morbid, but it's about not having your brain be mush.
Yeah,
or have severe. I mean, and this is a very serious topic, Bloom, but like having very severe consequences later on in your life.
Yeah,
like I would love for Jordan Reed to not play football anymore for himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there's a yin and a yang. There's a positive and a negative. As you go through your chakras, you'll notice the differences and the changes. And that's why you may be thinking, shut him down. But there's that one guy. Maybe it's more. Maybe there's a lot where you're just like, I can't do it. Not yet. I need to give it more time. I know, Cease, you're going to tell me about Windows, blah, blah, blah. But you've got to hold on. And who are some of those week 3 hold-ons?
Hold on for one. Sing Kumbaya, Cam Newton had that matchup against Arizona. Aggravation. Ugh. But at least we have an excuse maybe for his poor play. It just depends. I mean, the thing is, with someone who lost a Breeze or a Roethlisberger, I would hate to drop Cam Newton and have them be able to scoop him up, and then 3-4 weeks from now, he's back in form. Jameis Winston has a good matchup against the Giants this week. It's going to be a conservative offense, but if there's a week that Jameis Winston can show, hey, he's at least worth holding as a backup as the quarterback ranks thin, this could be that week. Duke Johnson, again, I see multiple paths to value. He's a good player. I still want to see what happens. I mentioned the rookie running backs. Devontae Freeman, not yet. Indianapolis, we're seeing him still be involved in the passing game. He doesn't look washed up, but he doesn't look like Devontae Freeman of 2 or 3 years ago. Malcolm Brown, make sure you hold on to him. Don't get too testy dropping him because you still have a share of the Rams backfield who looks good. I probably at this point not dropping Marcus Valdes-Scantling. I still think with a better up for Green Bay, still is Aaron Rodgers. He looks pretty good. Valdes-Scantling should stay on your roster if possible. Hawkinson, don't drop him. Don't make that mistake. Okay. I mean, we'll see whether it's a smart move in hindsight to play him against Philadelphia or not this week, but he's still one of the few potential difference makers at tight end, probably holding on to Jimmy Graham for the same reasons. I mean, if I'm hard up at tight end, if it's Jimmy Graham behind Mark Andrews and that's my one guy to drop to get a shot at Terry McLaurin, well, of course I'm dropping Jimmy Graham, but otherwise he's got some value. Jared Cook, let's see. It's possible that Teddy Bridgewater's hot zone in the field could be more Jared Cook. We could see he got some more targets last week. It's rough out there at tight end. Maybe give Cook one more chance against Seattle.
Woo! Always about one more chance. Thanks for giving us a chance, right? Maybe you're new to the channel. Maybe you're checking us out. Football guys, what's this? Like, cool. Thanks for watching our video. Thanks for checking out footballguys.com. We've been doing this show since 2006. So, love it. Love this tradition with you each and every week, and hell, almost each and every day during the regular season, and our 8 episodes a week that we have for you here on the Audible. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. Your love and energy drive us, right? I know it's week 3, Bloom, but both of us are like, you okay? How you doing?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Because it's an avalanche. It's a tidal wave of fantasy football. We love it. Give us more, and we'll give you all we got. We certainly appreciate you guys. The love and energy from the chat room reacting to me. And we thank you guys very much. For the great Dr. Jene Bramel and the fantastic Sigmund Bloom, I'm Cecil Lammey saying thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.